I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Peter Jackson. For most of us, the name conjures up images of Hobbits and shires, Dwarves and Elves, and let's face it, lots of money and Oscars. It's safe to say the directors don't get much bigger than him, who did the impossible. He turned J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings saga into a trilogy that, for some, has even supplanted the original Star Wars saga as the holy trinity of geek culture. Heck, he even managed to turn The Hobbit into 3 films, even if, let's face it, it was at least 1 film too many. Plus, there was King Kong, which I remember folks being mildly disappointed in way back when, but which, I think, has aged pretty well. Back in the early to mid-90s though, Jackson was known for low-budget splatter flicks made in New Zealand long before it became the bustling creative hub for some of the most brilliant special effects artists of our time, where he made cult classics like Bad Taste and Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, before segueing to the more posh Heavenly Creatures, which introduced us to 2 of the best actresses of our era, Kate Winslet and the perennially underrated Melanie Lynskey. The film put Jackson on the map in a big way, leading to a rich deal to write The Frighteners for Universal Pictures and producer Robert Zemeckis under the pretense of making it another Tales from the Crypt film, with this being the era of Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood. To his credit, Zemeckis soon discovered that Jackson and his writer partner / wife Fran Jackson were cooking up something that could stand on its own 2 feet, so he backed out of the project as a director anyway, and convinced Universal to let the 2 make the film on their own, outside of the Tales from the Crypt saga. To that end, they gave him a hefty $26 million budget, final cut with Robert Zemeckis' approval, and the services of Michael J. Fox, star of Back to the Future, in the lead. One of the biggest stars of the 80s, Fox had recently struggled to regain his box office momentum after the Back to the Future trilogy ended, so was off to New Zealand to shoot this horror movie epic, which would be an important film in the development of Lord of the Rings, with it being an early product of Weta Digital, who, with the ghost effects, proved to be doing work that would rival all the big boys in the special effects landscape for a fraction of the price. Sadly, the film was met with decidedly mixed reviews from critics and suffered at the box office, with Jackson taking issue for the lackluster marketing campaign, which made the movie look like an all-out comedy, and not the actual horror movie it was.
Okay, well, folks, I can do a clearance, but it's not going to be cheap. Although I do offer a 6-month guarantee.
That fellow takes us totally for granted.
Hey, Stuart, in or out, huh?
In the years since, Jackson, always one to tinker with his films, went back in and added 12 minutes of footage, with many Lord of the Rings fans discovering it and appreciating it as interesting middle ground between his work on splatter horror in New Zealand and the sophistication of the Lord of the Rings films. For me, I've always enjoyed The Frighteners, and I was bummed when it tanked theatrically way back in 1996, when I would have been about 14 years old. Watching it now, it's a stylish horror comedy with a lot of energy and some cutting-edge effects, anchored by a strong lead performance by Michael J. Fox, who has never really gotten his due. Fox always had a lot of spunk, and I've always enjoyed watching him outside of the light comedy genre he's usually been shoehorned into. His small stature, coupled with his iconic turn on Family Ties and in movies like The Secret of My Success, typecast him as lovable. He's actually a much more interesting actor than that, with Back to the Future without a doubt the best he was ever used on the big screen, as Zemeckis saw a certain James Cagney-esque quality to him, which I think translated well into Marty McFly. Another strong showcase for Fox included the great action flick The Hard Way and Bright Lights Big City, which upset me a lot as a kid because it had Alex P. Keaton / Marty McFly blowing rails. And of course, this movie. In it, he's a paranormal investigator who cons folks with his 3 ghost pals, Chi McBride's Cyrus, Jim Fife Stewart, and occasionally the great John Astin as the ancient judge. Astin, who was famous for playing Gomez on the Addams Family TV show, is future Lord of the Rings star Sean Astin's adopted father. And guess what? The old guy's still alive and kicking today at a young 90 years old. E.T. star Dee Wallace also has a good role as a woman Fox's character is investigating, which leads him into a legit case with life or death consequences, pairing him with Trini Alvarado as Lucy Linsky, whose husband is an early victim of the film's Big Bad, a Charles Starkweather-esque figure played by Jake Busey. I especially love Jeffrey Combs in this as perhaps the strangest FBI agent of all time, who makes the folks investigating Laura Palmer's death on Twin Peaks look rather modest in comparison.
By the power invested in me by the President of the United States, I am telling you to get the hell out of this room.
It's a great part for an often underused actor, while Danny Elfman's score has a bit of a punch. And through, I've always enjoyed The Frighteners, which has always struck me as a deft combo of horror and comedy. And heck, we even get to see R. Lee Emery playing what I presume is the ghost of his character in Full Metal Jacket.
What the hell are you doing in my graveyard? You have been told to stay away! Sound off like you've got up here!